I remember being at a nail shop, getting my nails done. And a young lady came up to me and told me that there were people trying to stop me from getting an interview on the radio because of getting pregnant with Namdi, y'all. Yep. No cap. Yeah, I was told that. Yep. And this person was close.
Yes.
Close to the pastor.
Yes.
Close to the circle.
Be in our face. Hey, you know, all
in our face all the time.
Yeah. This is an Iwebu production.
Period.
We moved on from just meeting. How did the next phase kind of go? And I believe we can agree on these parts.
Definitely. So after we kind of went through this, like, I feel like it was a quiet, subtle conversations back and forth. Mm-hmm. Of like interest in one another. When you moved into the same apartment building, it was just like, oh, you're actually right next to me. So my version of this, of not version, but just literally my truth, is that when you moved in the apartment, I was just happy to have a friend. Like, I didn't have no friends in the church. I mean, I talked to one other guy. Unfortunately, it wasn't a female. And I had a female, but she was, whatever. But so I was just overly excited, and we were just vibing with each other. Like literally, I was sit on one. He had an L-shaped couch. I was sit on the corner. He was sit on the opposite corner. Like,
real talk.
And in my head, I wasn't even trying to be careful. Like, my mind just wasn't even there to cross a line with you. Like, I literally was in such a place where I would vent to you, like, why am I not making friends here? Like, what is going on? I make friends everywhere else. We just was just vibing with each other, and then it got a little bit. We talked more than just about the church. Yeah. We started listening to music and listening to flowetry, and our styles of music was just really dope. And that was probably the decision we shouldn't have made. Yeah. Listening to R&B music late at night.
I think one of the dope things about when I met you was like, wow, like somebody who loves music like me.
Yes.
Like, because we're though at a friendship stage. I believe this went on for almost a month.
Oh yeah,
where we was just like
vibing
every few days or so often. We would just
the balcony
sit there, we would just sit there and
summer
talk.
Nights,
and just too much alone time together. Definitely
too much alone time. Too much like sexual music. Like, what was we listening to? Yes.
What was it?
No, babe. Yes, babe.
Are you talking about Avant?
No. Yes. Yeah. What's the part that we both was like, this is my part?
Don't say.
It's no. Yes. Yeah. So consistently listening to this type of music. I think it's just like
definitely shouldn't do it.
Just even we were just unaware, like it wasn't it wasn't. This is why we
say this is a learning moment. Listen,
this is why
we continue to push. Listen, when we say we got the scars from this, listen, we can tell you what not to do because we did it, and we don't want you to have to go through it because all of this is real nice and pretty and laughing down.
Yeah,
because grace has found us, but we got the scars and we had to go through some stuff for it. So yeah, that's why we say, hey, singles, don't be alone together, man. Do not be listen.
Late.
I mean, for real, have accountability. Like, have some people there when we gonna meet up or whatever. Even if you think that especially if you're opposite sex, or even you just think that we may be cool. Sister, so I don't care if the girl may come off as tomboyish. Homie,
still gotta.
Yeah, she still got that.
She still got that.
You feel me?
Yeah, that's such a good point because when I be hearing of these single people just hanging out late night, chilling at each other's houses, I'm like. Y'all, we are sexual beings. So, anywho,
real talk.
We kept hanging out. We kept vibing. We grew to like each other a lot, literally as friends. Like, Namdi was my friend. I really enjoyed talking to him. And
talked for hours.
We talked and we talked and we talked and we talked. Yeah. And when R&B was flowing, and we ended up crossing that line. And our first time being intimate, I became pregnant.
And we literally had a talk with each other, like, hey, listen. We got to stop this. Yeah. Like, we know better. We can't be doing this.
Yeah.
And all of that. Mm-hmm. And, you hit me with that call. And I won't forget it. I will never forget the time when she called me to let me know she was pregnant. It's like my whole soul just synced. And the reason to kind of give you some context to why, number one, I'm in front of people. I'm worshiping. I'm doing all this, man. Before this, I'm keeping myself. Like I had been abstaining, wasn't a bunch of.
And just even a deeper, also just so they can have full understanding, you was like the banner, the spokesperson for this church.
Like I was that guy. Like
if you go on his page, all you gonna see is the church. Yeah. Like that's who he was. So that's also why it hit him much different than me.
Hard.
Not harder, but different. It hit him different than it hit me. But go ahead.
Also, because I had been engaged previously.
Earlier that year.
Yeah, earlier that year. I got engaged on New Year's Eve. It was big. It was viral almost in sorts there in Kansas City. And so many people knew. But behind the scenes, me and, my ex, we just weren't seeing eye to eye. We weren't able to get, we were able to get counsel, but just didn't agree, I guess, to actually go and get it. And eventually we broke things off. We broke it off very silently. Mm-hmm. So I already knew that this was about to look real bad because barely nobody even knew that her and I had been broken up.
Yeah.
They didn't even really know as much. Probably really like close people to us, but not like the macro, like everyone. Everyone didn't know that. So, my soul dropped. I remember just getting that call and sliding down the wall and crying like no other, like just crying my butt off.
Yeah.
And just so like feeling like the biggest like failure ever in life. I won't ever forget that moment. My transformation is real. And so I knew that also it will, I put a black eye on the Lord, like people, some, like, how they say that you're the only Bible that some people will read. I knew that I was that for many people, and they were watching my ascension from where I was at, and I was no longer this dude who was in the club and womenizing and all this stuff, and I was going up and up, and I was growing. And I remember even I was about to do some special stuff with my church at that time that we're about to do, and all of that was about to be cut. And I knew that people would think, oh, the whole time, this is what I might have been doing. Like they might have thought that I wasn't really about that life. I was a dude with my hands up on Sunday. But real talk, I'm, laying it down on somebody on a Monday. You feel me? And that wasn't the thing at all. So I just didn't want my integrity, my name to be smeared like it was at that time. So it sucked so bad. What about you, babe?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I thought was like, dang, I'm really somebody's third baby mama.
Ouch.
That was probably the lowest feeling I could have felt. Like I'm a third pick. Like I'm a third baby mama. And so although we were spending time together as friends, that's when I started questioning like who did I actually lay with to be his third baby mama. So it was more so inspecting you than it was myself. Like, unfortunately, even though I made that decision, it was like, because although I was a leader at the time as well, because I was on the praise team, I had no attachments to, like, no personal connections with the pastors or the people of the church. So I didn't have this disappointment of the people, embarrassment that I was his third baby mama, yes, but not the church. My family and what my family would think, yes. As far as like my mom and her sisters, like I almost felt like because I did so good for so long, I praise dance. I was a worship leader. I've been worshiping all my life and playing the drums, the photographer of the church. Like I was that. If you saw Bishop John and Pastor Diana, you saw Takesha. You saw Keisha there. Even my grandmother, God, rest her soul, I was that grandchild that they just knew would grow up to be something. And so to become, again, not only a baby mama, but a baby mama to a man that has 3 of them, probably was I just felt like a disappointment. And I absolutely negotiated to not keep the child. And I remember even thinking about, like, I was so adamant. And it's so crazy how it happened. I was sick immediately. Like, it did not take long for me to get sick once I got pregnant. Like, I was sick. Man. Like, I was sick. I was throwing up. I could not eat. I remember being in the house for I don't know how long. Just dark, no food, not eating. Like, just felt so disgusted. And I was so, back to that point, with me not eating and not being able to get up, I quit my job. Yeah. And I remember after quitting, I was like, I gotta get rid of this child. And I remember begging you, like, please pay for this. Like, please, let's do this. And when I announced to our pastor at the time that I was gonna do that, like, I told them, like, when I leave, I am preparing to get rid of this child. And it wasn't even necessarily because I wasn't ready to be a mom or this or that. It honestly and sincerely, again, was that I was someone's third baby mama. So I was like, what does this feel like? I know he don't want another baby mama. Like, I know that. And so is this going to be special? Is this going to end into something? And so that was more so of my experience, is just being a third baby mama.
Yeah. And I was, doing my best, even though I knew we messed up. I knew that wasn't the route to go. The route to go was not, getting rid of a child or anything like that. I knew this just wasn't the route, and that will stay with you. Yeah, definitely. And so I was trying my best to talk to you and talk you out of it, and I just let you know I ain't give you the money. So I said, I'm not. Listen, we already messed up. I'm not about to double down. Yeah, like, that's not what I'm about to double down on seeing. No, we already messed up. I'm not jumping for joy that you're like, that you about to have my child or anything like that. Just was not my thing. So it just was just a very tough moment. It seemed like it lasted forever too. Like, it was the longest pregnancy of my life. It just was a very sad, because it took what I considered was really pure and it was pure between us. Like, it was. What we had was just pure. It was good. And it was like, dang, we perverted that. And now we're here, not only with a child, you got a third baby mama, the church. And that was the biggest. I just want to interject here, especially you as a leaders, just know that the enemy's going to come at you even harder. Because he wants to mess up your ministry. He wants to smear that up. He doesn't want people to be called to hear Jesus in any form. So people like us she's rapping for him and she's doing really good. Yeah. She's really going up in this deal. And I'm doing praise and worship. I just went to earlier that year a conference with my pastor, and he's basically talking to me how I'll basically be the guy who kind of does administrating over the different functions of the church. He's getting me prepared for that. Like, hey, you need to speak with so and so. See him, you're gonna be that. You need to, like, he's taking me under the wing. So he wants to come and just mess up all of that. He's coming to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants to destroy all of that. So you have to make sure you safeguard that with all you can and all your might, because what you're hearing from us right now, man, we're reliving that in our mind, and it sucks so bad at that time.
Yeah, at that time. And I would say bigger than the actual situation sucking, I feel like it was just like a continual cycle of shame. Yeah. And this might be where we maybe disagree, but the whole situation was just incredibly blown out of proportion. Two grown-ups having sex and having a child is what happened, and that's how most of us was born, like it. And so yes, I do agree with what you're saying as far as being leaders, but y'all, the thing that kept us down was shame and condemnation, not actually what happened. Like, yes, what happened, we repented of fornicating. We repented of that, but it was the years that we just sat in shame that was more so of the issue. And so moving forward, I just want to say that, like, it was that deep, but it also was not. Like, it shouldn't have been as long, as blown up, as talked about, because we haven't even gotten to the fact of the rumors that were spread of our name being drugged through the mud from the people at that church, and the lies that was told on how we got together, and big lies. Like, it was just blown up out of proportion. So even when we got out of the smoke and we were like, and I think I had to tell you, like, babe, we didn't do nothing that crazy. Like I did not step into a marriage. Right. I was not somebody's wife.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't kidnap somebody, cheating. Like no, we were two single people that were alone that had sex and got pregnant again, like how most of y'all did it and how most of us was born. Like that's just what it is. And so speaking of the enemy, yes, he comes to rob those things, but he also can rob you of just by reminding you of shame and condemnation and bad decisions. And so the biggest part of this whole thing being blown up was unfortunately the church we were attending. We immediately, I definitely immediately left. We both sat down off of the worship team, of course, set ourselves down. But I ended up leaving for about 3 months. I just straight up out of like, what in the world? I'm actually pregnant. And I think in that time, just like when we went through COVID, I realized how alone I really was in that church because I was like, dang, I'm serving this much and I can be gone for this long and nobody like, where the girl with the blonde hair? Like nobody cares. Like I can go when I worked at IHOP. Let me not show up a couple of shifts. Like not even my manager, my coworkers gonna be like, "Hey, Takesha, where you at? Are you coming in?" Like, and the people I was serving with didn't even have enough care, you know. And so that was a big part of it. But then, as we continue to like live on, we continue to hear stories and rumors and subliminal sermons and subliminal Facebook statuses about us. And it was just like, what in the world is going on? Like why did this become so big? Now we know, you know, the Lord's hand has been on us and the favor of God is on us. And you, baby, cut me off at any time that you need.
I mean, I think you're telling. I mean, like I said, the truth. It was blown way out of proportion.
Way out of proportion.
We, you know, a lot, and it was driven more by people on the outside. You know, people that you know was from the church, all those things, the lies, all those things that we went silent. I mean, we wasn't like we was on Facebook flaunting it or
we disappeared.
We disappeared. We were just going through sabbatical. A time. Like, I mean, you don't know what like. Here's the biggest thing that you need to know about somebody who's fallen. Like, and this is one thing that I look at so many believers with so much grace now.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I know that, listen, they're already going to be, if they're a true follower of Christ and they're submitted to him, they love Jesus, but they really truly made a mistake and they know that they did, and they truly have a repentant heart, then I know they don't need none of my condemnation. They don't need none of my slander. They don't need none of my shaming. They need my love.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I see people fall and I hear these stories of Christian artists and they may fall and all those things, I don't look at it right away and just be like, oh, he's just the worst. He didn't know about Christ. You know, just throwing stones at him. I just see them and I'm like, man, who's going to go and pray with him right now? He may be having suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Man, who's gonna call and really pull up on him? Yeah, who's gonna pull up on him right now and say, "Hey, bro, I know you're going through it, bro. I just want to pull up on you real quick and see what's going on." Like,
and not to be nosy,
but just because I know, listen, you already beating yourself up. Yeah. I need to be there to pick you up, remind you who you are in Christ. I thank God.
I think you had that.
I had a couple brothers.
I was sitting next to. I remember sitting next to you on the couch, and watching people from the church call you like back to back, and I was just like,
well, here's the thing.
Granted,
more of those. Some of the people were just more of like, hey, come back to the church. They wasn't worried about you. I truly will have to shout out my brother D. Chris right now. I love that man forever because he wasn't worried about what people were saying, nothing. Yeah. He came like, hey, bro, I'm here with you. Hey, bro, what you need? You good? Like, hey, how's sis doing? Yeah. Like, hey, he was on that love. Like, him, you know, Mike, being there too, Mike Bishop, like Bishop, Bishop, he was there. Like those people were there in the trenches in the dirt with me, and I love them forever for that.
And it's so crazy. Like when we tell this story to everybody else, they're like, I remember we were sitting down.
They'd be like,
I remember we were sitting down with. I remember we were sitting down with another pastor. Yeah. A pastor and his wife. and considering going to their church. And we were telling the story of what happened to us at the last church. And he was like, I don't really care about none of that. Like, I'm going to be honest with
you.
That's
washed under the blood, brother.
Yeah, that's washed under the blood. Do y'all want to come over here? Because I remember he said, I will have something for you to do tomorrow. Like, you will have something to do every day of the week. Like, we need a new worship. We need you to come on. You know, and so, again, that's why I also wanted to be clear to those that, yes, the enemy comes, but he also will use, that's when you know it's no longer just your conviction and you feeling sad about disappointing your God. No, that's condemnation, because you're not supposed to live in it. How long? We lived in condemnation for what? 3 years?
Probably 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years?
I'm probably the worst at it.
Oh, Jesus.
I couldn't forgive myself.
I would have to shake him like, Namdi.
I could not forgive myself.
We're good. Like, but that's also because we still were there.
Yeah.
So we were also still in an environment.
We went back eventually.
We went back
that's another part of the story.
I know, it's a whole long.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother, maybe a whole nother video. But yeah.
So yes, the controversy behind it was the story that was told for the Iwebus without us opening our mouths was that Namdi was with someone and he cheated on that young lady with me, and I stepped in on that relationship and got pregnant. That is not true.
Yeah.
But because we got pregnant and we got quiet, the lies were louder than the truth because we didn't speak.
Yeah.
We didn't speak until later, I'll say.
like I always say, Charlamagne said, man, nobody cares about the truth when the lie's more entertaining.
Yes.
And that really is what was the thing. And even when we, later down the line got to telling the truth.
We told the truth so late that nobody...
even when we did a live video.
Yeah.
Woo, the guys came ablazing on them subliminal posts and stuff. They came pop. They was like, oh, y'all, it's something else when you believe your own lie and all that stuff. I was like, okay, sis, I got you. Okay,
I
you know what I'm saying? I see you. Okay, I got you.
Keep that same energy.
Keep that same energy.
Yeah. And none of them did.
Yeah,
none of them kept that energy.
None of them did. But
none of them.
It's all good though.
It's absolutely all good. No, it's sincerely, like, out of all true honesty, if I saw any of them, it would be, and not on some like, look at us, we still doing good. Like, no, like, hey, girl. Man. Like, me falling with Namdi and fornicating and get pregnant is the same sin of you judging us and kicking us down and spreading rumors and being gossip. Like, we all need grace, and I forgive you.
Yeah, because, those same people, the only, what we finally came to realize was, a lot of the people that even would slander us or anything were doing the same thing behind closed doors. We just had the evidence of it, which was the baby bump.
Oh, like smashing?
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. So it was just like a good amount. So I'm just like,
not one of them was virgins or abstaining.
Yeah, a good amount.
Like, come on.
Now, the great thing about us going through that controversy is now that we can be there for those who go through that, who goes through slander from their church home or that kind of rejection or. Yeah, they don't really treat me the same no more. Hey, listen, anybody know your heart who knows your pain? You're looking at both of them right here. We don't have a perfect story, man. We were treated in the wrong way, point blank. It does not matter, and people can say whatever, however they feel about it. They have their way of looking at it. I can tell you from this side, it wasn't that pure of love that came from the church at that time.
Yeah.
For some who wasn't as strong in the faith as what we were, they would have walked away. But that's what many of them actually do. Yeah, most of them do. When they have this type of situation, they walk on way. They go back to the club. They go back to doing what they doing. They become a 5%er, Nation of Islam, or they go, whatever. They go get into all these other things, crystals and African nations or whatever. So. That ain't what happened with us. So that's just kind of the controversy in closing of what happened on that part.
In a very short way of saying it.
Yeah.
Y'all let us know if y'all want part 2 of that.
Part 2 of that.
Because it goes further and wider. Yeah. The things that were, being in places where I remember being at a nail shop. Getting my nails done. And a young lady came up to me and told me that there were people trying to stop me from getting an interview on the radio because of getting pregnant with Namdi, y'all. Yep. No cap. Yeah, I was told that.
Yep.
And this person was close.
Yes.
Close to the pastor.
Yes.
Close to their circle.
Be in our face. Hey, all
in our face all the time.
Crazy stuff.
I remember going home like, we are getting out of here. If these ain't gonna keep it 100, we're done. Like, I'm tired of confronting people and everybody kept like, no, it wasn't that. Because we had conversations with people. We pulled people aside. Yeah. We had phone calls. Everybody kept. Yeah. Nobody kept it 100. Like, nah, that made me feel some type of way.
I had only one guy who really kept it 100 when we had a conversation with him and his wife. And he was like, and he was just like, man, listen. He said he was an OG though. He was an OG though. So it took some maturity of a person to say this. But he's like, man, listen. When everything was going on, he said I was a coward. I should have called you, man. He said I knew you, man, and I felt some things wasn't necessarily right. He said I felt it then, and I just didn't do it, man. Forgive me, man. He said I was a coward for that, man.
That was your experience.
And that was so much. Like, I love him for that forever, for just that right there, being real and being a real man about that.
Our experiences are different. Nnamdi definitely got more love, more phone calls.
Yeah, that's a whole.
Yeah,
that was go into that.
That wasn't my experience.
All right, so y'all walked us through the valley of controversy and when it strikes. Hey, thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you could do us a huge favor, please hit that like button and please subscribe.
Yes, and please do not forget to hit that notification bell. We need y'all to be locked in every single time we drop this fire content. Yeah. Also, we need y'all to follow us on all social media platforms at the Ewaybos. And look, we will see y'all on the next video.
Holla.